I don't need to recap 2025. You lived it. You felt it in your bank account, your access to health care, your rights, and in the pit of your stomach every time the news came on. I'm not doing a highlight reel. I'm not doing a countdown. I'm not pretending this year was complex or messy or any other word people use when they don't want to say who did what. I'm Jeff Allen Wolf. This is A World Gone Mad. I'm recording this on New Year's Eve, so let's be clear about what actually happened. Under Donald Trump's administration, with Republicans locking arms behind him, this country was not mismanaged. It was aggressively handled like a hostile takeover. Power was hoarded. Oversight was mocked. Loyalty mattered more than law. And anyone who pushed back was labeled the enemy, and a revenge tour happened against each and every one of them. Healthcare was carved up and rationed. Affordability was real. Trump called it a hoax, while people suffered. Workers were told to be grateful, while getting squeezed harder. Minorities were turned into targets and talking points. Women lost control over their own bodies, while politicians smiled into cameras. Education was gutted and turned into a culture war battlefield. Donald the Delusional One and his lunatic supporters caused all of this. Science was ignored, sidelined, or attacked when it got inconvenient. Truth was buried under lawsuits, slogans, and outright lies. The conservative side of the Supreme Court became even more blatant with their decisions supporting Trump. And democracy wasn't overthrown in one dramatic moment. It was slowly ground down by people insisting this was strength. There were no tanks, no sirens, no emergency alerts, just paperwork, court rulings, executive orders, smug press releases and conferences, and an entire political party standing there saying, "This is all fine." This was the year chaos stopped being an accident and became the plan. The year cruelty got dressed up as policy. The year outrage became currency and accountability became a punchline. And here's the reality nobody gets to escape at midnight. The calendar flipping does not undo the damage. Fireworks do not restore rights. Champagne does not rebuild institutions. Midnight changes nothing unless people do. So when the noise resets and everyone pretends this was just another rough year, ask yourself one question. What are we still willing to live with? And here's where the story doesn't end, because this is the part people keep trying to skip. What happened in 2025 didn't require secrecy. It didn't require some shadow government or hidden hand. It happened in public, in daylight, on cable news, on social media, in courtrooms, and at podiums with flags behind them. That's not an accident. That's the point. Because when power stops worrying about being exposed, it tells you exactly how safe it feels. And in 2025, power felt untouchable. Every lie was stress tested. Every norm was kicked to see if it would break. Every institution was pushed to find out who would fold first. And when something bent, MAGA leaned harder. When someone objected, they were discredited, sidelined, threatened, or sued. When facts got in the way, they were drowned out, delayed, or rebranded as opinions. This wasn't about governing. It was about domination, about people teaching people over and over again that resistance costs more than silence, that speaking up comes with consequences, while playing along keeps the heat off you. Let's be clear about something uncomfortable. This only works if enough people convince themselves that staying quiet is the same thing as staying safe. It isn't. Silence doesn't protect you. It just buys time for the next target to be chosen. That's how authoritarian systems function. They don't demand loyalty from everyone. They just demand exhaustion from most. They don't need belief. They need compliance. And when compliance starts to feel normal, the ground shifts under everyone's feet. That's why 2025 mattered so much. Not because it was shocking, but because it tried to make the shocking routine. To make people shrug at things that would have set off alarms not that long ago. To make outrage feel childish. To make accountability sound unreasonable. And here's the miscalculation. People don't forget what they saw. They didn't suddenly agree. They didn't suddenly think this was fine. They learned. They watched patterns form. They noticed who benefited and who paid. They noticed who got protected and who got punished. And that kind of awareness doesn't disappear. It hardens. You don't need hope to act. You need clarity. You don't need to believe everything will work out. You need to stop accepting explanations that insult your intelligence. Because once you see how the game is played, you can't unsee it. And once enough people stop playing along, the whole thing starts to wobble. That's where this year 2025 leaves us. Not saved, not doomed, but awake. And that's the one state this kind of power can't survive for long. Because once you're awake, you don't go back to sleep on command. You don't unknow what you've seen. You don't unfeel the pressure or unlearn the pattern. So as 2025 closes, this isn't about hope or fear. It's about position. You know where you stand now. You know what crossed lines. You know what was normalized that never should have been. Moving forward isn't fixing everything at once. It means not surrendering your judgment just because the calendar flipped to a new year. It means refusing to let this year be rewritten into something smaller than it was. That's where it leaves us. Clear-eyed, unfooled, still here, and that matters more than anything that Trump and his Republican supporters tried to take from us. In recent episodes, I mentioned there were going to be some major announcements ahead for my podcast. That's still true. What I didn't say is that some of those decisions determine whether a voice like mine continues at all. I'm not answering that right now because it hasn't answered itself yet. I'm closing the year where it actually stands, unfinished. If you're hearing this, you're hearing the end of this year, and maybe more than that. I'm Jeff Allen Wolf. This was A World Gone Mad 2025.